Hi and welcome to the video. I'm Shadows Rain, and in this video we are going to be talking about the EBR, as there have been a lot of changes to the meta and the EBR is somewhere else these days in every game mode. I will cover everything that makes this gun feel different, so that will mean field upgrades, certain attachments, conversions and perks it works well with. I will also tell you how to get the best out of it for aggression, camping and roaming. I know the community doesn't like camping, however we can't pretend it doesn't exist, and if you are a camper, as long as you camp objectives, I don't really have a problem with you. If you're camping at your spawn in cyber attack, you've got a rocket coming your way. Also, campers in Warzone can suck my. Now please remember to like, favourite and subscribe, hit the bell icon, helps us out massively, and if you want to be part of the A1A, make sure you are subscribed, as we're constantly dropping educational videos, entertaining videos, and videos that will help you obtain those wins in Verdansk. So, let's get started. I feel there's no better way to start this series than with the first gun I got gold and acquired in this year's Modern Warfare, and that is the EBR. I consider myself a master with the EBR. I've got somewhat thousands of kills with it in multiplayer, and I do use it very often in Warzone. And so if I feel as if there's anyone who should be talking to you about the EBR, I feel as if it should be me, and I do have a 1.8 KD in Warzone, so let's get right into this. Yeah, so this is the equivalent of a Modern Warfare 3 Mark 14 or a World War II M1 Garand, both of which were beasts in the right hands, as this is basically that version of those game's guns. Only thing is though, is that for this gun to give you some love, you're gonna have to show it some love first, and be a little bit patient with it. Or you could unlock a blueprint, or you know, buy one. This is because the gun really struggles to begin with, and it needs some love as mentioned. The iron sights only work at close range with the standard barrel, as the recoil to begin with is just unsettling. This, in conjunction with the smoke it expels, makes it very difficult to continuously track and kill a moving target. Add this to the fact it's slow and clunky, and it makes you want to quit the gun before you've even begun it. However, once you've got it to around level 10-15, you start getting sights and attachments to help with that recoil. You will start getting this gun to love you. Before that though, you'll find yourself mounting a lot during this phase, and if you're a cautious player, that won't bother you. However, if you're an aggressor, your KD is going to be suffering unless you're pre-aiming. This gun is completely transformed though once you've got it kitted with that FFS Raider chassis. This makes the gun, along with a sight and some form of recoil control, competitive. Very competitive for anything outside shotgun range. This is because the aim down sight speed is so much easier to deal with, and when you unlock the second version of that stock, holy sweet Jesus, it's even faster with no additional side effects, apart from walk steadiness, but it's quite steady anyway. People do not expect you to use this as an assault rifle, which is essentially what you've just made by doing this. But why are you not sniping with this? Well, you can, and I do it in Warzone, which I'll show you soon. This is deadly when kitted as an assault rifle, unless you're hitting walls. This is always going to be a 2-hit kill at most, potentially one with a headshot, but we'll get to that soon as well. This weapon has presence, and as an assault rifle, this is an amazing weapon. People hear an EBR and get scared. People will avoid conflict with you the same way they run indoors when they hear there's a good old Jimmy special pred missile flying towards their bonds. Let's take a look at my loadouts and how I kitted for both Warzone and multiplayer. A lot of YouTubers would put this at the end of the vids, but I'm not most YouTubers. So this is what I call my EBR class. So this is the one that I use for multiplayer. Now the multiplayer one I do quite enjoy. It's basically obviously the EBR. I run it with either a submachine gun or a shotgun. The majority of the time I've used this, I've been using this with the model Dragon's Breath. But that's absolutely fine, just because, you know, it's to everyone's taste. As long as it covers that short range gap, it doesn't really matter what you use as the second weapon. Again, the perks are just more, obviously you need overkill, but the perks are more game mode specific, but I do like amped because I can just flick between a gun to keep on killing people really quick. So for the actual gun itself, I'm using the compensator, the Ranger foregrip, the 20 round mags, the monocle reflex sight, but any optic of choice really. And this is the most important attachment in the multiplayer build, the FFS, that's right, Raider Chassis Elite. Now, like I say, the Chassis Pro is quite decent as well, but you do get even more perks when you start using the Chassis Elite. It gives you more in-down sight speed, movement speed, and it's, you know, it basically makes it more of a assault rifle, especially when you get the elite version. You get that sprint to fire speed as well, so that's really nice. The 20 round mag, although it says it costs you aim down sight speed and movement speed, I personally didn't really notice it that much. And the extra movement speed and aim down sight speed that you're going to be getting from that stock anyway is going to be helping you out loads. Again, I'm using this range of foregrip now because it gives me aiming stability as well as recoil control, and this really helps in the more ranged encounters where this gun actually shines. And then I'm using a compensator as well, just for even more recoil reduction, so I can literally use the fastest rate of fire at the longest range as possible. So that's basically how I'm going to be running that. Now, with that all being said, let's have a little look at the Warzone class. The Warzone class is as follows, and again, this secondary that you use does depend on you, as long as it covers that range from short range up to the medium long range, not medium range, but medium long range, its own range. You're going to be laughing with this. So I'm personally using AUG because I do feel as if it's got a very, very high mobility rating, and it's also quite lethal as well at up to AR range. But when you get up to AR range, this really starts to shine. So we'll have a look at it. There is a few differences that we'll talk about. The first one you'll notice is that we're using a variable zoom scope. We are using a precision comb, so we're not actually using that chassis. Now the reason for that is that this gives you aiming stability, whereas this heavily takes that away from you, and you're going to be wanting to take fights at range, so that aiming stability is absolute key. I use the variable zoom scope just because purely it's easier to hit people at those ranges, and it's also a bit easier just to line up that headshot than it would be with a normal reticle, even the VLK at that kind of range. And then of course I've got the sniper scopes, so I use a custom sniper scope crosshair on this as well because it is a bit easier. That's the stock one you get. I just find that it is a bit hard to hit people, so I use different ones. So yeah, but you do have a good selection here, and if you do have plenty, then that is pretty damn class. But let's get further in. We are using the Forge Tac Precision 22-inch barrel, and that is purely because it gives you extra bullet velocity, which makes your targets so much easier to hit. You get a little bit of recoil control there, but not much. Monolithic suppressor to again increase the range. This gun has absolutely incredible range, so the even longer you make that, it's going to be doing absolute mad damage, including getting 2-tap headshots from miles away. Slightly weakened, 1-tap headshots. Brilliant. But that is my Warzone class, and let's move on with the rest of the video. Getting kills with this weapon is extremely satisfying and feels earned, but feels earned in a good way, you know what I mean? Not like pistol kills where tenacity earned the kill, but earned as in that was all skill, especially when you land headshots. Speaking of which, not as hard as you think. If people are showing only their head out of a window and it's the only thing you can see, they're dead. You can't compete with a time to kill that is instantaneous, unless you have a foul. You'll find this works against snipers really well, purely because if you hit them first time, they'll likely flinch, cause them to miss, or they'll fire in panic, meaning your follow-up shot is easy and unpressured. If they fire and they have a bolt action, you are laughing. You have two unofficial rates of fire on the EBR, the first one being what I call sustainable, where you take your next shot when your crosshair is fully reset from the previous shot. The other one being fireworks, where you fire that thing as quickly as humanly possible. These rates depending on your range, or should I say these rates depend on your range, should be the only ones you use, and I'm not joking. At these speeds, pow, pow, and bam. The first will ensure an easy follow-up shot at range. The second will tell your opponents, don't mess with me, or you're getting sent to the Gulag or the C flag, whatever mode you're playing. The gun outside of shotgun one-hit range is a powerhouse, and I feel like a god even when I'm in average form. The reload time doesn't feel that slow, but even if you're getting pushed, nothing says F off quite like a Dragon's Breath shotgun. But we'll get to that class setup later on as well, as we'll talk about how we can accompany that. Trust me, when you're reloading, people will try and push you. The confidence this gun gives you is immense, and when you go from using this for a few games to a full auto weapon, you'll be tearing up lobbies like the flu has Europe. The gun needs complementing though with some form of doomstick, and to make up for its shortcomings, mainly that close range problem that it has, its hip fire, it's what you expect from a marksman rifle, a meme. Even with lasers, it goes from unusable to horrendous. If you get hipfire kills with this, you'll be more than likely not be wondering how the hell did I just survive that. How did he not kill me? I personally like to rock a shotgun, but anything that can compete with hipfire M4A1 should be a benchmark. A sub or a shotgun is best here for multiplayer, and a FAL or maybe it's an AUG with the assault rifle ammo is going to accompany it best in Warzone, as we saw before. Now, in Warzone, this weapon is a really solid pick and can be considered a sniper alternative. The AR build does not work here, please trust me on that. I'm a 1.8 KD player, so I know how to handle myself in a gunfight, and I could just not get any joy using this in people's faces the same way I do in multiplayer. Your best bet is using this as, shock, a marksman rifle. It fills the gap between ARs and snipers really nicely, and can maintain its super high damage at super long ranges. It actually works best on a FAL class, as mental as that sounds on SMG. I got 2 wins with this setup on a stream Friday gone, which by the way, here's the highlights video for said stream. Your minimum headshot damage at super long range will leave a fully armored person with 7 armor remaining for 107 HP, meaning you're always going to be able to two-tap headshot at any range. If they have 1 plate of armor and there's not a super far distance away, you're going to be one-tapping people. When the fall drops out at either its range, you can max the fire rate or the damage range drops. The EBR really bloody shines. I think Infinity Ward have done this on purpose is to not make the EBR completely useless. I do have one big issue with the EBR in Warzone though, and if you are a follower of mine, you already know what it is, and that is the fact it uses sniper ammo. Ouch man, what the hell? That hurts a lot. I don't want to be thinking about how many bullets I should be putting into the fight and think about ammo efficiency. If you want to be an EBR master, you will need to commit to buying ammunitions boxes often in Warzone. Aim for the head, trust your damage, and don't be afraid to use this in closer ranges. It still slaps, you just need to be calm and pick your shots. Hit that head if you can. So then, what does it feel good against and what does it struggle against? Let's find out then. We'll start with a little disclaimer. Everything I'm about to say depends on the range that you're comfortable using this weapon, as we mentioned earlier. Unless your first shot is a headshot at close range, you've had it simple. So inside the comfort range, let's have a look at what you're going to be melting. Most SMGs are going to be cannon fodder for you. They can't compete with your lethality, and in some cases it's going to take them 4, 5, sometimes even 6 shots to kill. So long as you can react when shot at first and bail or drop shot, you have a pretty good chance. SMGs don't like to be here anyway, so you can bang 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 and they'll usually be dead by then. MP7 and P90 may cause you some issues though with their accuracy and low recoil, though if you hit first, also the Bison and Striker can 2-hit you if you're hitting the head, so be careful of that. More often than not, you will kill if you land your first shot, which you probably will as they'll be trying to close the distance. You should be fine here. Most assault rifles are where you're going to be shining in multiplayer. In Warzone it's a bit different, but in multiplayer they flinch like a bitch, and even under pressure, if you can get a shot in, you're going to ruin their kill streak. 1-on-1 with assault rifles, if I land a shot first, I rarely lose the fight. Of course, my drop shot and tactical usage helps out, but even if you're caught off guard at medium range, you have a good chance of winning this encounter, so long as you're on your toes and you're expecting an opponent to be around the next corner, you'll fly with this. The best piece of advice I can give you is don't run around a corner blind, know exactly where you're going, and pick your target in a multi-kill situation. Same as any situations. So long as you don't blind fire and hope you hit, you'll be naming your class gun near the Staff of Odin. Just remember though, you need to be utilizing everything, your surroundings, your tacticals, and your map to know where everyone is and where you can be shot from. There is a couple of assault rifles that you don't want to match up against. Odin fell. So we'll get to that. Automatic ARs, while you've got the chassis stocks on, are your bread and butter. You'll suffer a lot of deaths here, but this will also be where you get the majority of your kills. You'll find that this is really where you start popping off, M4A1 included and ground included in that list, if you can connect your first shot. The flinch will buy you time you need for the second. I personally don't run focus. If an AR gets first shot on me, providing I'm aiming at them, the flinch you sustain is going to put you in headshot region for your next shot anyway, which a lot of you may have actually found out in the gulag when you've been hitting people first and you've knocked their shot from your chest to your head. It's like having insta-kill power up, like the insta-kill zombies power up in multiplayer. Filthy. Nothing feels dirtier than hitting your opponent, sentencing themselves to an instant death with your first shot when flinching and firing. Always aim for the head if you can. Anyway, if it's not a one-on-one, this will literally give your opponent no chance to react as opposed to hitting a body shot. You've got a 99% chance of killing them if you give them time to react. If you don't give them time to react, turn and shoot. Unless they're running a pre-patch 7 2.5, that can suck. Shotguns. Same as anything. If you're in their range, see you at the A flag. If they're in your range, bye-bye Pocoyo, try again next time. That's all I have to say about this, really. If you're in the range for the EBR, you don't need me to tell you that you're going to be effing all over them. Like a lot, there's not even one shotgun you need to worry about at your range. So let's go into the LMGs. You're actually going to be faster than most of the LMGs out there, and your damage output is going to be higher. Perfect. The chassis stock is going to help you keep mobile, pick your moment, and try not to get suppressed. The further away you are from those barbarians, the better. The closer you are, the more at risk you are, like the ARs. Difference being, they can sustain the pressure and won't flinch as much when you're firing at them. SA-85 you're particularly strong against though. If you know that you're up against an LMG, and you know that this player isn't 11, you want to be damn sure you're aiming for the head. Their recoil will give you a chance at medium long range onwards, but if they are in range where you're going to be picking on a mainstream AR kid, they're actually at a huge threat to you. Go for the head. One shot that barbarian and get them back to the Ice Age. Snipers are a weird one. You will struggle against the Dragunov, but we'll go into that later. The other two snipers are dependent on if you miss or if you get the first shot. If you land a shot and your pow pow or your sustainable fire rate, you'll have a decent chance, but it's not a guarantee you'll win. It is against snipers, however, if I find myself getting easy headshots. Usually they're peeking against like windows or just above rocks, only showing their heads, and in multiplayer you one-tap that fool. And in Warzone, you can two-tap them. It's as simple as that, especially if they're prone and facing your general direction. The only thing you can hit is the head. Your first shot by default will likely be a headshot. Basically, as long as you know where the sniper is, or you see him at about the same time he sees you, you have a chance. But do know that these encounters are 50-50s. That will depend on your skill and proficiency that you have with this weapon. This matchup will improve as you get good with the gun. Now, what are you going to struggle against? What feels rough to be on the other end of? Anything at close range, and I can't stress this enough. There are a few exceptions to this rule, but we'll get into that as well. But let's have a little look. MP7s and MP90s are going to be general counters in your comfort range. If they're not at long range, you can ping them back to the lobby easy enough, but for all those tiny flinches that they do when they're hitting you, they are a bit of a bitch to deal with when you're trying to connect the first shot. If they hit you, disengage or headshot the prick. Alternatively, throw a stun or lethal. Remember, you've got to utilize everything to make this work. That'll help you get out of a pinch if they've got you in one. If they get close, you have your shotgun in multiplayer, or you have another submachine gun to take care of them with in Warzone. You've prepared for this. Assault rifles. While up close, anything will cause you a problem. The Odin competes with you at your range, and this is also a 2-hit kill with a more reliable rate of fire. Thankfully, it's not a popular pick right now. You see him and he hasn't shot you yet? Brilliant. His slow-ass ADS speed will give you a massive advantage. If he's already ADSing, just avoid or wait for him to be firing at someone else. You can't deal with this prick in a one-on-one. You are a deer in headlights. You will be 70-30 with foul users in their favour too. Like the Odin, these guys live for fights like you. Now, I think the EBR is much better than the foul against other players and setups, like for example, like super long ranges, but think of it like rock, paper, scissors. EBR is rock, ARs and subs are scissors, but the foul is paper. Quicker ADS, movement speed, fire rate, you're done for. They sometimes need 3 shots to kill you in multiplayer, but you've got to note that they can spam them out at you, miss 2 or 3, and drop you before you connect your 3rd or 4th shot, meaning if you've missed, you are basically just churned into XP for that foul user. If you connect though, you do have a chance. Not many people run them at the moment. Haha, lol, who am I kidding? Everyone's using them right now, purely because of that stupid buff that they did, where it's basically got 108 headshot damage and can usually 2-shot people dirt quick in multiplayer. And that that rate of fire is just ridiculous in Warzone as well. It has literally the fastest time to kill in the game. You are a little bit vulnerable to noob tubes, but anything which slows you down is going to have you vulnerable to that, but you can't count that with VOD. Now, LMGs. High mag LMGs are going to really put you under pressure. Avoid if you can. They don't need accuracy. They will be putting a lot of damage down when they are firing. Most of them scumbags are going to be using FMJ as well as part of the demolition classes too in multiplayer. So if they're not running, don't take the fight or go for the headshot. Or should I say, don't take the fight or make sure you hit the headshot. That's what I'm trying to say there. As soon as they're aiming, their lack of mobility means nothing as they wield devastating power and pressure. Your best bet is to catch them running or distracted. This is a good match for you until they start firing. Finish the job quick or go back to spawn or go to the gulag. I will mention though with the Bruin, treat that like an AR if you know that they're running it like that and you notice that they're quite fast. Treat that like a normal AR. Snipers, the Dragunov. I thought the EBR would humiliate this weapon. It is actually the other way around. Now, the reason that is that I just, even if you land that first shot, you're actually still in trouble. I just couldn't compete with a Dragunov as often as I thought I should be in both Warzone and multiplayer. Bolt action snipers I could deal with, but these guys are just relentless. If they miss, they just follow up with another shot straight away, just like you. Unless I close the distance to a medium range, I don't often win this matchup unless I landed that headshot or he was firing at someone else. My method of dealing with these snakes was changing classes and pinging them with a joker to their approximate location, nicking the kill. Do not engage a Dragunov, it just doesn't work. This somehow is a hard counter to you. In theory it shouldn't be, but it just is. Maybe I'm inside my own head a little bit when I know he's got a Dragunov, but even if I don't know what the other kid's got, I do find myself getting dropped by a Dragunov when using the EBR a lot often than I do other sniper rifles or ranged weapons. Now, marksman rifles. All of these counter you. They live in a space, and ideally you use the EBR to break into other areas of expertise, or you break into their area of expertise. You only win this matchup with any marksman rifle. We're not counting the crossbow. But you only win a matchup if the player doesn't hit you, or if you're at close range, ironically, unless it's the SKS, and the SKS kind of trumps you at that as well. But if you're that close, then just cleanse these pricks with your Holy Dragon's Breath in multiplayer. You don't find a lot of people using the SKS in Warzone, thankfully, so you'll be alright there. If you do get the first hit in and you don't kill, you'll have a chance if they get the first hit in and they don't kill you for Car 98, you got a chance. Same with the Mark II, they'll likely be able to follow up before you can get your shots away. Now, the only reason that I've mentioned this as a problem is because if they miss, they can follow up very quickly with the Mark II, whereas the Car 98, you've usually got them. I was actually quite intimidated being up against the Mark II, actually, with them being specialist weapons. Their users are normally using the weapons conservatively and only picking shots and engagements where they want to. If you are up against someone who uses their own Mark II class in Warzone, like an EBR, they're likely a specialist and know what they're doing. These kids will punish you if you don't respect them and you don't get that headshot off straight away. Now, riot shields. You can't spam a riot shield scumbag with an EBR. I did not enjoy this matchup at all. Seeing one of these at the best of times is a pet peeve, but with this as your class equipped, honestly, if I saw a team with more than one of these riot scum, I would just change back to my demolitions class and blow these mongrels to smithereens. You are also a sitting duck against tactical grenades, more so than any weapon, because you can't spam fire this weapon as much as you can others. When you're blind fire and aiming, when stunned, it's just impossible unless you were already shooting at somebody. Equip a trophy, just do it. You'll feel so much more safer and confident in multiplayer to do what you gotta do. If someone's gonna be throwing something at you in Warzone, go to your short range weapon. Just do it. Now, game modes. What game modes are you going to be using in multiplayer to actually use this weapon effectively? Well, exclusively for the EBR and not counting your secondary loadout, meaning not including the shotgun, domination is going to be easy for you. You roughly know where they're spawning and there's usually a good sight lines when taking flags and defending flags. A running theme here is that any mode you know where the enemy's going to be coming from. Being prepped and ready for the gunfight is key with this weapon. Hardpoint on some maps are good for providing you have good sight lines for both attacking and defending. Team deathmatch is good if you have a roaming playstyle or defend houses shooting at windows. Finally, cyber attack is decent though here you'll want to run a suppressor instead of the mags. You have your standard range, but you can't compete with snipers at long ranges more so than you could with an AR. This variety is good for the mode if you're running decent secondary, but let's say you go at least positive in cyber attack. Unlike the other modes with an EBR, you may find it harder to carry in this mode. Now that's just how I felt using this setup. Though my EBR could win, like I felt as if my EBR could win rounds, but it was easier if I was last man alive, picking up a shotgun or an extended mags to AR and avoiding being out in the open. My instincts would make me do this, and it wasn't a conscious decision a lot of the time, but like I say, it works. You'll have fun with this and you'll probably finish positive, but you may not get the results you're looking for that you could do with going with something else. Now, what game modes are a miss for the EBR? Kill confirmed. You get plenty kills and actually get a good score. You may get plenty kills and actually get a good score based on kills alone, especially when everyone's running around like headless chickens, straight for tags with tunnel vision. But if you're trying to win the game, which is how this list is designed, you will find yourself with very few confirms and dies. Yes, if you're with a coordinated team, this will be okay, as they can clean up your kills for your stats alone, but you're going to find yourself running into trouble and putting yourself in dreaded close range situations very often. You can't compete with ARs and sprint to fire speed, which you will painfully find out when you try it. I found myself preferring other class setups when in kill confirmed. Hardpoint headquarters on smaller maps with a lot of objectives and buildings and tight areas are not going to be fun for the EBR. I tried to make this work, but I felt as if I was leaving myself at a massive disadvantage by using the EBR. On maps where there is a lot of both open space and tight objectives, your shotgun EBR class is going to make up for this, and the EBR may be viable here. But this isn't a video about how the class feels, it's about how the gun feels. I feel more effective using this shotgun in this class than the EBR. Search and destroy, again, you're going to struggle. You'll be loud, and unlike other modes, an EBR, when suppressed, is still going to have people hunting you and punishing you for not being meta. It can work, but I felt more effective with my all class in this mode. I never used this class in Capture the Flag. I felt I had other classes for it, which was faster and more adaptable. A quick note on field upgrades and certain perk configs for both class perks and weapon perks. Stop and power, though it can give you more one-hit kills in multiplayer, I do find it inconsistent. It felt amazing getting one-hit kills to the chest. It seems to be upper chest though, and sometimes you feel that you hit the upper chest, but you still need that second shot. This is a depends for me. Cyber attack, yes. Doing challenges, yes. Everything else, replace it with something of your choosing. This gun feels complete with a trophy system. If you have a sight line or an objective locked down, your insta-kill potential is matched by rockets and grenades. Or even one tactical grenade can completely ruin your day. So use protection, kids. Use EOD and use a trophy system. Which, if you weren't using trophy system, I mean, you need two perks to protect yourself from that. You need EOD and battle hardened. So just, you know, if you want to have a little bit more adaptability, get that trophy system down, free up your perks or something else. Fantastic, eh? You're going to be performing a lot better when you do this. If you lock down a sight line, ammo is always nice to have. So my second field upgrade is an ammo crate. In Warzone, I do also like to have a, a munitions box, very important. But if you can't get hold of one of those, try and grab yourself a deployable cover, because a deployable cover can really help you out in a pinch when you're getting like fought up against with like assault rifles up close. So just bear that in mind. Yeah, so perks, I usually use kill chain, and in Dom especially, kill chain is just amazing because you can actually get some kills very easily with it when you're picking people off at range. Then people get close to you, use your shotgun, you pick people off. So kill chain, it just seems to naturally be easier to get kill streaks with kill chain. You don't seem to be punished as much with lethals with your trophy system. So yeah, use kill chain. Now, the majority of the perks, gun perks, is up to you. The most effective one really is focus. It's really good to have, especially if you don't need to run mags or 2 recoil attachments. This is a game changer, especially against SMGs or Dragonovs or anything else that can do a lot of damage and make you flinch like a bit of a biatch, really. So in conclusion, this is a very good gun to use in multiplayer. It's good to use in Warzone. There are better weapons out there, but that's not what being an EBR master is all about. Use it for the love of the weapon, and yeah, it's a really clean gun to use when you know how to build it, you know how to accompany with. accompany it with, and you know what fights you can and can't take. So with that being said, I do hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please make sure you hit that like button and you hit that subscribe button as well. It helps us out massively. It's not easy putting out 27 minute long scripts for these videos, so all the support you can show in the comment section would be amazing. And yeah, let me know what you think of the EBR in the comment section below, and if you've used it and what your thoughts of it are. I'd be very interested to hear that. And if you're not using that, what other off meta DMR are you using which isn't M67 or FAL? Let me know. But yes, I will see you in the next video. Peace.